All right, y'all, it is time to talk sales in April. What is happening, everybody? It's your boy Brendan. So this is a what sold on eBay video, and I'm going to show you 20 items that I sold April 1st through the 30th, 2024. Now, I spent $1,325 on all of my cost of goods for the month. My sales were good. It still felt a little bit slower. I'll talk about why that is, but there's one important metric that I think is the best one for this month that gives me hope moving forward. It's not my gross sales. It's not my net sales. I'm going to show you what that is here in just a second, and then I'm going to feature 20 items, the most interesting items that I sold this month. Let's get to it. Okay, so here we are, April 1st through April 30th. 10,300 in gross sales is what I did for the month. 6,700 in net. Again, that's before the cost of goods, 13.25, and my average sales price down from about $60 at 48. So I've said this before, I'm not sourcing a lot of the bigger ticket items like I used to. I have a plan to change that moving forward. I've already put that plan in place. It seems to be working even as of yesterday. I had a very good sales day with a lot of high dollar items that sold. So the biggest and most important number this month for me is the quantity sold. I'm up about 22% over last year. And naturally, when you increase your average listing count, you should also be increasing the quantity sold, right? That's how that happens. But what tends to happen as you get into like much bigger stores or you're carrying much larger listings is there happens to be an inverse relationship between the number of active listings you add and the average sales price. The more you add listings wise, typically your average sales price declines. Now, I'm in an area where I carry very few listings relative to some of the other people you might watch. I only have about 2,000 listings, but I still think even to get to 2,500 to 3,000, I should still be able to swim in the $50 to $60 range. So I'm at 48. I still think I can increase that. And again, I've got a plan in place to do that. So if you factored all of this in and made my average sales price 60, which is what it was last year, it would have been about a $12,000 month, which is what I'm doing. But the most encouraging number is the quantity sold. So my volume is up, and that's what I'm going to lean into for this month, April 30th. Even though it felt a little bit slower, it still kind of felt like, I'm only shipping 7 items a day on average. It's not. There were some days where it's like, come on already, come on already, come on already. And the sales that were coming in were a little bit lower dollar. But that's just the name of the game. It was a pretty good April. Even for my standards. So let's get into 20 listings here. First one is this Nike Manchester United jersey. I don't know how to tell which ones are real and which ones are fake. I mean, there's like a little bit of a process I go to with like looking at fonts and looking at tags and, stitching and threads and all that stuff. But soccer, I'm not as good at it as I am, say, basketball or baseball or football, the sports that I played, and I sell more of those jerseys. But this was a great pickup. This sold for $50 and I didn't have it that long, so I only paid $5 for it. I've said this before, I'm picking up soccer jerseys more often, and that seems to be working for me. So I'm going to continue to do that. This only took 4 days to sell. 423932 is the style code for this jersey, and then 623 is the colorway for Nike. So keep your eye on it because it is one that sells regularly. That's the reason I picked it up. I thought I could sell it in the $30 to $50 range, and I got 50 for it. Next one here. This pair of Skechers took me, how long? About 7 weeks to sell. I think if it was vintage and I had Y2K in there as some of my additional keywords, this might have sold a little bit quicker. But as it stands, the chunky midsole is a thing. That's a trend that everybody should be looking for. And then old school Skechers, like from that 2000 era, selling well as well. So the fact that these had chunky soles, they were leather, and they were in excellent condition, let me take you through some of the pictures, are the reasons I believe this sold. Again, I think it could have sold a little bit quicker if I had those additional keywords in there, but I didn't verify that they were in fact vintage or not. So had them listed for 80, sold them for 60, and I paid $5.50 for these. So some of the lessons here: look for vintage Skechers. There's a market for that right now. The Y2K keyword is a popular one. A lot of stuff from the 2000 era coming back. That's kind of how these markets work. They're cyclical. Things do come back into style, and I think this is one of those instances where you've got something that is being reborn, if you will. Now, one thing that I will say is I have to believe that the thrift stores of the world are not marking Skechers up, okay? If they are, like if they're charging you $25 for a clean pair of Skechers in your neighborhood, move, because that's highway robbery. So I've got to really believe in my heart of hearts that you can, these vintage Skechers are going to be slipping through cracks in your area. So go look for them is what I'm saying. And like I said, stop going to the thrift stores that are charging $25 for Skechers. That is terrible. Okay. Next thing, Sony CyberShot. This is another Bolo specifically that you want to look for, DSC-W120. I had this listed on the higher end at I think maybe 150, 125. It sold for 125. Where I can, I always put a picture of the item actually working. I think that really helps push a potential buyer over the edge. And so I encourage you to do that for your listings as well. This came with the charger, a battery, and the rest of the peripherals, including the case. So it took me about 10 weeks to sell, and it only cost me $6.99, but that's because I was on the higher end price-wise. So there were others that probably sold before me that were a little bit lower, but putting it all together, waiting for that right buyer, this is a case where that happens. 7.2 megapixel camera from Sony. Definitely look for it. It is one that will sell, and I think it comes in a couple of different colors here. So I've got a black one. There might be blue, pink, whatever. And that might have had a hand in it taking as long as it did to sell to. But $125 later on 7. Those are the types of returns that dreams are made of. Okay, next thing here, trying to squeeze myself out of my comfort zones and sell a little bit more women's items. Some of you have mentioned, you feel like by watching me, I'm getting a little bit better, so thank you. This is the teacher becoming the student. But this was a 2X, so this was a good size. Denim jacket. I don't know. I feel like when I was looking at comp research, Poshmark sales looked a little bit more steady or consistent, and maybe even a little bit higher price-wise than the eBay sales did. I was willing to take a chance on eBay, and I still sold it for $50. So oversized trucker jean jacket. Here's some more of the pictures. If you look on the inside, it almost looks like there was some discoloration right here, but it didn't just go through to the other side. So I'm not really sure what that was, but I think my pictures were clear and enough to convince someone to pay $50 for it. So I paid around $8 for this, 6, 7, 8, somewhere around there. And it took 3 months to sell. So that's pretty good. Got it done in 90 days, and it was a women's clothing item, something that I'm not typically used to. So big pat on the back there, buddy. All right, next one here. So that my first church sale video of the season. Church sale starts with a frenzy. If you didn't watch that, please go back and watch that because it was crazy. In that church sale, they've got 2 sections. There's a tent that you can go into that has shoes, sporting goods, holiday items, and then there's the main building of the church that has basically everything else. So I went to the tent first and then got into the way back of the line to go into the actual building. And when I got in there, it was so insane that I was like, I think I'm going to turn right around. So I just kind of went in to just see what it felt like more than anything. But there was another reseller there, and I forget your name, and thank you for the deal. They were buying a home speaker system, like a home theater system, and they didn't want to deal with shipping this piece of it. So they gave it to me. I showed it to the people that were working there. They charged me $5 for it. I paid, I left. It was the only item that I bought inside the building, and it sold very quickly for my full asking price of $100. I got it home and tested it immediately, and it worked fine. It was very crisp and very clean. So sold it for $100, paid $5, and it sold in 6 days. Boy, I will take that, especially since it was a literal zoo inside that church sale. If you didn't see that video, go into my catalog and watch that video because it'll give you some anxiety, if nothing else. All right, next thing here. This is my favorite item that I sourced this month, and I wasn't even the one that sourced it, so I can't even really take credit for it. It was my oldest daughter who likes to come into the thrift stores with me from time to time and basically shop for herself, but she noticed something that looked a little bit unique and picked it up, and lo and behold, there was a $100 sold for this exact item. They're Apple iPod socks. There's nothing to it. It took me maybe 5.5 seconds to take these 3 pictures and then sell similar. and somebody got it on an offer I sent out of 15%. So I sold them for $85. Credit goes to my oldest. I love you very much if you're watching me, or if your friends who tend to watch. Hello to all of you as well. But good job, oldest daughter. $85 on that one. They cost $3.99 and they sold in 1 week. So big shout out to her. She's got it in the blood a little bit maybe, and that's my favorite one. All right, next one. This here is a vintage Magnolite stock pot. We're looking at 7.5 quarts. It's in pretty good condition. It's a shot at the inside. What is this tray for? Can somebody help me out with that? I don't know what it came with this tray, but I don't know what this is for. Anyway, here's what the logo looks like. Magnolite GHC, and I don't even remember what the GHC stands for. So if anybody wants to chime in the comments, feel free to, because I don't know. What I do know is I had this listed for $150. I paid $10 for it. I found it at a thrift store, and it sold for $100. Now, when I saw all of the minor sales, if you will, like the $10, the $20, the $25 sales coming through, seeing a $100 offer on this item that quickly made my week. So I jumped on it, and you will see solds if you go into the comps for this style that are higher than $100, but I had to do what I had to do. So this sold in 1 day for $100. Yes, I could have waited. I didn't want to wait because I told you, like, it just, even though my sales were great, it still felt slower. So I'm happy with the $100. Sold in 1 day. Magnolite, the big roaster, like the big oval roaster, those are still like $100 to $200 pre-owned. Keep looking for those. Magnolite in most cases is good to sell. Some of the pieces aren't going to do you any good, but this was a great one, so keep your eye out for it. Next thing here, this took over a year to sell. This was a year and 2 months. Back last year when that big deal of overstock or like Huckberry returns came through to my area and hit the thrift stores, this was one of the shirts that I grabbed. So I paid either $10 or $20 for this. It was brand new in the package, and I finally sold it for full asking price. So you talk about list and forget. This is definitely one of those items because I didn't even remember having it. But proof is a bolo. Let me show you the tag. Very unassuming. I think maybe $40, $45 if this was pre-owned. But again, this was new with tags. So I got $90 for it, shipped it out, and yeah, over a year to sell. That's a long time. Most people don't want to hold items that long, but I did, and I eventually sold it for $90. What can I tell you? Keep your eye out for proof. Next one here, actually the next two were found on the same trip, almost at the same exact time. First bag here is Isla or Isla Michael Kors bag, very beachy, nice little rope handles, brand new with tags. I think the MSRP on this was $200. Yeah, $198. Let me show you some of the pictures and I'll enlarge them for you, because finding a brand new with tags Michael Kors bag that had good comps behind it, man, this was like just being at the right place at the right time. It's a really beautiful bag. I took an offer on this very quickly for $80, and it sold in 1 day. So I paid, it wasn't a markup. I paid 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there. Sold that one for 80, and then this one also sold for 72. I found it again, right, like one right after the other in the video. If you guys have seen that one, really nice fringe. The nice thing about this Patricia Nash Poppy bag is, I'll maximize this too. There are a few different variations of this like watercolor style graphic. So if you're looking up Patricia Nash Poppy, that's what the overall like style design is, but the graphic can be different. So this was like, blue flowers, leaf, petals, blueberries, whatever you want to call it. And it had a nice dark leather finish. Beautiful bag, and I think it was pretty clean on the inside too. Yes, here's some pictures of what the inside looked like. There's a picture of the label, and then 100% leather. Just a great looking bag. So back to back, 80. This one took 9 days to sell, and again, I paid the same price as the other one, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there. So two really good bags back to back, and I needed it. Okay, next one here. You can see the list price, or my asking price was $100. I took an offer of 80. This, if you are willing to wait, would have, and there are comps that justify what I'm telling you, it would have sold for $100. But same thing, took the 80 and ran, all clad, 6-quart stock pot. Let me show you the label on the bottom. It says number 06012. When I looked that up, I couldn't find exact comps, but a lot of the 6-quart stainless steel all-clad stock pots that were like looked very similar to this were all selling at around the $100 range if we're talking about the top end, because there's always outliers that sell for less. So $80 on this. I had to pay up. They knew what they had, so I paid $25 for it. But it sold in 6 days. It was a quick seller. I will take it. If you didn't know that all clad, like a lot of their stainless steel line, is a good bolo, if you can get it for cheap, grab it, because it is. Next thing here, another one I don't know a ton about, but you know, it's perfume. It was brand new in an open box. It had like, there was like a perfume, another perfume, and then a body wash, or I don't know what that is, lotion for your face or hands or feet. Who the heck knows? Very good girl gift set. And there were good comps on this one too. So I only marked it 150 because that's what like the previous solds had told me to do. And then I ended up selling this for 120, 128 to be exact. I paid $9.99 for it, and it sold in 8 months. So it was a very, very, it was a good seller. I can hear my kiddo. Yeah, honey, what's up?
We're gonna go in water.
You're gonna get water? You're going to go in water?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
So
we're going to have to pause this. I got to get a swimsuit on. All right, I'm back. Sorry, we're doing 2 things at once. My daughter had to get a swimsuit on to go with the neighbors to run in the sprinkler. So, okay, we're back, and I don't remember where I was. This took 8 months to sell. I don't know anything about it other than the comp said price it this way, and I sold it for 128. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, Yakima. So these are very clearly ski and snowboard racks for the car. And I sourced this on camera, but I don't remember what I paid for. It was between $5 and $15, and I sold it for $65. I had somebody reach out and tell me that that key that you see on my table is not the key that opens up these 2 locks. So what I can tell you is from experience, if you find an item like this that's a really good item for resale, you're getting it for a good price, but it doesn't have the key, you can always go to Yakima's website and identify the exact key for the exact style of whatever it is you're trying to sell, and they only cost $5. So you can order them really quickly. I mean, like it's well known that these keys disappear pretty easily, right? Or they break, or you know, they get lost. And so just go to their website, order the key. It's $5. They'll get it to you, and if you feel like that will help you push the sale over the edge for you, then you can still pick it up or still get it listed. So just keep that in mind. It's easy to get keys from them, but I still sold this. Did I sell this for full price? Yeah, I sold it for full price. It sold in 11 days, so it was a quick seller, and everybody's happy. So keep your eye out for that. But yeah, I know I sourced this live on camera, but I can't remember what it was priced at. So let's just say between 5 and 15. Even at 15, 65 is a pretty good sale. So keep your eye out for that. And if you didn't know that, you could order those keys. Now you do. So keep that in mind. Next thing here, this little fellow is just amazing. This little frog. Now, this is, and I want to be very clear, especially with newer resellers, you can see in the title of my listing, I have Tiffany in there. This is not even close to a Tiffany lamp, but I have in there Tiffany style lamp. If you're new and you're afraid about getting a Vero item or getting a copyright strike or something along those lines, you can leave Tiffany out of your title. So this is almost like do as I say, not as I do. This is one of the only instances where I will have the title of a brand that is not the actual item, because it seems as though it's universally accepted as something that can be used. I've never heard of a single instance where the actual Tiffany brand is starting to shoot Veros out to eBay. If they have, please let me know. If somebody's experienced that, let me know, and I'm going to refrain from doing it in the future. But it's one of the only times you'll ever see me do something like that. So Tiffany style stained glass lamp for a frog that is not actual Tiffany brand. It's still beautiful. It was like 8 inches long. He was super cool. This sold really quickly for my full asking price, which I thought was fair, $60. He only cost me $4.99, and he sold within a week. So newer sellers, just be aware of that. And even seasoned sellers. I see a lot of seasoned sellers selling items where they're using, other companies' stock photos. I mean, just because they are getting away with it doesn't mean you will. So just, again, do as I say, not as I do. But I recognize that I have Tiffany in the title, and I know a lot of people do that as well. So that doesn't make it right, but it is what it is in this instance. Good sale. Next thing here, now this is one of the retail arbitrage items that I was talking about in previous months where I was spending a lot of money on retail arbitrage items that I wasn't going to be listing until certain things happened. Melanie Martinez is a recording artist that has a really good cult following. And what I've learned about Melanie Martinez when it comes to her merchandise and when it comes to things like her perfumes and scents and things that she's selling to her audience, she only works with very small batch manufacturers. And because of that, it's extremely hard for her to quickly restock the things that she sells. So I knew immediately when she was launching another line of perfumes that they were going to sell out and it was not going to come back anytime soon. So I bought all 4 of her flavors, if you will, and each one of these little vials cost me $50. This one sold for $120. So on a retail arbitrage item, spending $50 to sell something for $120 seems outrageous, but it was a guarantee. Like I knew for a fact A, that it was a guaranteed sale, and B, if I hold on to this for a year, maybe another year, maybe 3 years, the price is going to increase exponentially. In fact, if you go back and you search Melanie Martinez perfume and you look at some of her perfumes from the Crybaby era, they sell for like thousands of dollars. So I feel like I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this specific item and how she manages the merchandise portion of her business. So a good quick sale, 120 over 50. It's not, it's not a pair of Nike shoes that I sold for 100 that I only bought for 5, but I still knew what was coming to me, so I was willing to pay up because I knew they would sell out, and it was just a matter of time. So it's a very small vial. Let me show you. It's like 15 mLs. Hold on a second. Those all the pictures I took. It's really small, but there were 4 of them all together, and I've sold 3 of them, and then my daughter is like really holding on to with an iron fist that 4th one that I want to sell, but she and I are going to be attending the concert that's coming here in Columbus. So, maybe that'll be a gift for her. I don't really know. But you should just give it to her because she found the socks for me, right? And that'd be a fair deal. Anyway, this was a good sale. It sold in 12 days. And just keep your mind, keep your eye out for Melanie Martinez merchandise, and especially those perfumes, because that Crybaby stuff, like it comes in like a little milk bottle. You'll see what I'm talking about when you search solds. $500, $600, $1,000, even more for that stuff. It's crazy. All right, next one here is a Dolce vintage Pizzelle maker. I love picking up Pizzelle makers. This model is 300 EP. I want to show you the pictures. It is very clearly not entirely clean. I think a lot of people make the mistake of only sourcing items that are in excellent condition. I'm a pretty good example of stop doing that. Look at this. Like, I was not going to spend 40 minutes trying to get this thing in pristine condition. I cleaned it a little bit, right? But if you look at it, there's a lot of people that would look at that and say, I would never in a million years pick that up and sell that. Now, if you didn't, you wouldn't have sold the thing for $65. So I had it listed for $75. I sold it for $65. It still had the original box with it. It only cost me $8. It was $7.99. And the buyer left like glowing positive feedback. So not every single person is looking for something in perfect condition. So if you're passing on items that aren't perfect, I think you're missing out on sales. So just keep that in mind. This was vintage, was sort of in demand, and the buyer was happy. So just because you might not pick it up in a condition like this doesn't mean there isn't somebody out there that like is ready, willing, and able instantly to pay you for an item in this condition. So just take my advice because it works for me from time to time. So that was a good sale on that Dolce automatic Pizzelle maker. Keep your eye out for it. Okay, Flux. I didn't do any research on Flux, so I can't really educate you on this brand. This was a new to me brand. They are like trainer shoes. I don't know what you do with them. They don't look like wrestling shoes, so are they running shoes? I don't really know. They were crispy clean. They were a men's size 14. There's some people that don't like to source size 14s for men. For eBay, I like that size. I know those, and we've talked about this before. There's a lot of people that have chimed in like, hey, I'm a size 14. We appreciate you being able to find these sizes, and we go to the secondary marketplaces often because manufacturers don't necessarily produce the 14s as much as they do maybe the men's 10s, 11s, 12s, right? Because not as many people that with feet that large. So I'm not afraid to source and list size 14 shoes. So hopefully you're not either. I have in there lifting shoes. So yeah, maybe they're for the gym. Super clean. I had these listed for $75, and what do they sell for? They sold for $60. I paid $5 and like $5.50 for them, and they sold in 3 months. So a good seller. Flux could be a bolo. Keep your eye out for it. I'll show you the soles. They were in just fantastic condition. So pretty good looking shoe all around. And we're on to the next one. This is another retail arbitrage item, if you will. I sourced this at an Amazon liquidation store about 8 months ago. Mountain Hardwear Dynama pants. Here's some more of the pictures. There's the brand new with tags. The retail price on these for women was $75. I listed them for $60, and I accepted an offer of $51. If I bought these on restock day, they cost me $14. The day after that, if that's the day that I bought them, which would be a Saturday in this specific store, they would have cost me 10. So they were the 10 or 14. Still a good return at 51 on either of those paid prices for cost of goods. And I can't really tell you if this is an item to keep your eye out for or not. Mountain Hardwear Dynama, you're going to have to go in and look because I don't recall the style OL8623. But they were brand new, and so that made it a little bit easier for me to make a decision because 80% of the items that are sold through eBay are brand new items. Only 20% of the items sold are pre-owned. So good sale. I will take it. And then we're going to move on to the oval Paul Revere copper and brass pan in really nice condition. This is one that is a pretty safe bet for a bolo item, so keep your eye out for it. You can see on the sides of the brass, it says Paul Revere, limited edition. There are different variations of like the fonts or the way this is stamped. They all sort of sell in a similar range, right around $40, but this one was really clean. So I bought 2 of them. I can't remember if I sold both or if one of them is still listed, but it cost what, $5? Cost $5, sold it for 40, and this one sold in 8 days, so it was a fast seller. 14.5 inches wide, just a really clean piece, and it is an actual bolo, so definitely one to keep your eye out for. And then the last one here is going to make me shed a tear a little bit, but I have a story for you. I've decided that for this holiday season coming up, both Halloween and Christmas, that I'm going to purchase some I don't know if they need to be brand new or not, but some additional Christopher Radko gifts. Some of you might know this, but I decorate my tree every year with almost only Christopher Radko items. That doesn't mean I'm a millionaire. My mother had a bunch of them from when she worked at Saks Fifth Avenue and would buy them when they would go on serious discounts. So I've got a ton of them, and I can't justify paying full MSRP for basically any Christopher Radko items. So if I'm gonna change it up a little bit and get more for my money, I have to part with some of the ones that I love, and this was sort of my crown jewel in ornaments. The Goody gumballs. The gumballs, they move around and shake inside. This is just, it's beautiful. It was so lovely that I didn't even take the original tag off of the item. So I had to sell it because now I can say I would like to go and buy like maybe 3 or 4 newer Christopher Radko items, but I couldn't. I'm not in that price bracket, y'all. I'm not in that earnings bracket. So I had to sell this one in order to justify picking up some new ones for when that is. I had it listed for $300. I took an offer of $200. I am super sad to see it go. My cost of goods was obviously 0, and it took 10 weeks to sell. It's gone, but it is going to give birth to a few more new ones when the time is right. That is 20 items that I sold the month of April, and I hope you enjoyed each and every one of them. All right, y'all, 20 more in the books. Thank you so much for tuning in. Brendan here, Dad Planet. I appreciate each and every one of you, and we will see you in the next video. It's way too nice out to be inside. I'm going outside, maybe get a tan.